Good evening, friends. Study with Apala, Engineering and General Geology, Parvin Singh book. हम chapter 8 में fissure eruption about volcano related. These forms another major group of eruption in which there is neither a cone nor a crater. Tremendous volume of lava simply flow out from the fissures and cracks continuously over wide areas, just as the groundwater flow out from the springs. This continuous flow of lava spread across the countryside in the form of sheet, burying everything that comes in its way. Such floods of lava continue for very long period, building up new landforms from the lava flow. The Deccan Trap in the Peninsula Indias and the Panjal Trap in the Himalayas are best example of fissure eruptions of the geological past. Such eruptions are also called Icelandic type, named so for the last eruption of this type in Iceland in 1783. Fumaroles. These are cracks, fissures, or such openings in the crust of the earth through which only hot gases comes out regularly or intermittently. Generally, such gaseous eruptions precedes more serious volcanic eruptions. In those cases, the eruptions are better classed as regular volcanoes, but when there is no lava flow and only gases continue to come out, the opening is called ephemerals. Various specific names are sometimes given to the fumaroles or on the basis of gases being discharged. Thus, for instance, sulfators are fumaroles discharging principally sulfurous vapors. So, distribution and origin. A great majority of major and minor volcanoes of the world appears to be concentrated along the two main belts, the Circum-Pacific and the Alpine Himalayan belt. The first belt is rather so well defined and covers many parts of America, Japan, East Indies, and New Zealand, and includes a very large number of active volcanoes. The belts are not continuous in the strict sense of terms. There are several regions in between where volcanic activity is negligible or absent. There are no active and includes a very large number of active volcanoes. The belts are not continuous. In the strict sense of terms, there are several regions in between where volcanic activity is negligible or absent. There are no active or dormant volcanoes in India. For instance, although it is covered in the Alpine Himalayan belt, the problem of origin of volcanoes may be resolved into following parts: the mode of formation of fissures or vent which serve as the conduits or channels for magma from below, the mode of occurrence of these fissures in a regular manner along a definite geographical track or belt, the remarkable independence of volcanoes in their activity and eruptions periods, the source of the molten materials. The formation of fissures and conduits in the crust from which the molten materials has poured out from beneath is related in most cases to disastropic activity, foldings, faulting and mountain building. There has been, however, no general agreement on the other aspect of the volcanic eruption. Earlier it was believed that a layer of molten materials, the magma, excited in the body of the earth above the mantle and below the crust, and that all the volcanoes derived their lava from this magmatic layer. Such a belief is no longer tenable. The formation of local pocket of molten materials below the crust is now attributed to an interplay of factors like temperature, pressure, convection current and plate tectonic. It is an established fact that temperature increases with the depth in the earth, so that materials at some depth below could be at a temperatures high enough to cause their melting, but pressure also increases considerably with the depth, and this prevent actual melting of the very hot materials. The materials below the crust, therefore, is invariably at a very high temperature and under high pressure, likely to acquire a molten conditions by a slight decrease in pressure. This create a possibilities for volcanoes as when and where in the body of the earth there is some cause to release of pressure, a local pockets of molten materials comes into existence. This pocket become the source of lava. The eruptions from this local pocket of molten materials are though to result in a number of ways. Crustal disturbance like those of molten buildings cause the development of fractures currently with the release of pressures, thereby creating eruptions. According to this view, volcanoes will be associated with the present distribution of a crustal disturbance. This suggestions is in general agreement with the present distribution of volcanoes which are concentrated along orogenic belt. It also explain the localized behavior of the volcanoes in that the release of pressures may be mostly local. Many others observed fact, however, yet requires precise explanations. In the latter concept of plate tectonics, the origin and distribution of active volcano is explained differently. According to this concept, volcanic activity should be and is actually concentrated along the plate boundaries of the diverging tectonic plate, where these plates diverge as they are believed to do below the oceanic age. Materials from the deep below gets a relief in pressure, becomes actually molten and rises up in the forms of lava flows pouring out in the central rift created by diverging plate. In another situation where there may not be actual divergence, volcanic eruption may still be caused by what has been termed as a mantle plums. These are defined as upwellings of a hot plastic but mostly semi-solid material from the mantle to levels of much reduced pressure. Thank you.